This is the story of an architect who has two beautiful girls who enter his house for help, and then they get intimate with him by provoking him. After that, they blackmail him and create some embarrassing problems in his life, which we are going to see in this story. And this story starts with a man named Evan, who is a professional architect. And he used to live happily with his wife Karen and two children. His wife Karen also used to work in an art gallery. Evan and Karen had made a plan to go on a beach trip with the children. But when Evan had some important work, he could not go with them. So Karen takes both the children on a beach trip for a week, and Evan stays at home with his dog. Now that night when Evan was working at his house, it was raining heavily outside. That's when the doorbell rang. After that, when Evan went to open the door, there were two girls standing there. One of them's name is Belle and the other's name is Genesis. They were completely drenched in the rain, after which both told Evan that they were looking for an address to go to the party. But due to the heavy rain, they got lost. And because of the rain, our phones also got damaged. So Evan lets them come to his house for help and gives them some towels and an iPad so that they can find that address. But after finding the address in Genesis' iPad, she says that they have come quite far from that place and the taxi driver has brought them to the wrong location. So, Evan books a cab for them, which was supposed to reach here in 45 minutes. Now, both the girls were very wet. So she asks Evan to dry her clothes in the dryer. After that, after using the washroom of Belle and Genesis, she comes to the place where Evan was making tea for them. After that, they all come to the living room and start talking to each other. Here, Belle and Genesis repeatedly try to come close to Evan and tries to get away from him. With this, Evan gets upset and sits on the other chair and takes out his phone and sees that the cab's arrival time was only 20 minutes. Then Evan asks him what you guys do, to which he replies that we are both air hostesses. Meanwhile, Belle and Genesis try to get Evan away from them. With this, Evan again goes away from them and sits on the other chair. Actually, Evan was married, so he was trying to keep distance from Belle and Genesis by provoking them. But Belle and Genesis start telling Evan about their lifestyle and traveling around the world. And she provokes Evan to be intimate with them. Meanwhile, Evan checks his phone again and sees that the cab is only 5 minutes away. Then Genesis leaves the place using the washroom, and Belle tries to seduce Evan again. Then Evan gets a call from the cab driver because the cab had come out of Evan's house. So Belle goes to the washroom to call Genesis, and Evan goes to get his clothes. But Belle and Genesis do not come out of the washroom for a long time, and he goes to the bathroom with their clothes and knocks the door. But both of them were not coming out. So Evan puts his hand on his eyes and goes inside. Now, when he reaches inside, we see that Belle and Genesis were completely naked. And as soon as he enters, she starts forcing him to attract her. But this time, Evan loses his control and starts getting intimate with her in the bathroom. And then he gets intimate in the bedroom too. And the whole night passes like this, and it becomes morning. After which, when Evan wakes up, he does not see Belle and Genesis anywhere, which makes Evan think that they may have left. But then he hears the laughter of both of them from the kitchen. So Evan goes there and sees that they have made a very bad condition of his kitchen. Seeing all this, Evan tells him to leave his house. Then Evan's wife's video call comes, so he goes out to talk on the phone. And after talking to him, he comes inside and tells them to wear their clothes and leave the house. But Belle and Genesis, instead of leaving her house, start ruining her wife's art. With this, Evan calls the police and threatens to send them to jail. But Belle tells Evan that we are both underage and you have become intimate with us, so the police will arrest you in a rape case and arrest her. Then a friend of Evan's wife comes to the door, so Evan goes to open the door by saying that he should not come out of the two. Then while talking about Evan, Genesis comes there and starts sticking to him, because of which his wife's friend leaves from there by saying good and bad to Evan. After this, Evan goes inside and scolds both the girls a lot, and this time he really calls the police. Because of which Belle and Genesis are afraid and agrees to leave the house, and then Evan takes them in his car and leaves them outside the house and comes back and starts cleaning the house because Belle and Genesis had made the house dirty. And then at night when Evan starts his work, he hears the sound of glass breaking. And when he goes to see it, he sees his family picture lying on the floor. And as soon as he bows down to pick up the picture, Genesis attacks him from behind, making Evan unconscious. After which, when Evan comes to his senses, he finds himself tied to a bed with a rope, and he shouts at Genesis to open himself. Then Belle comes out wearing Evan's daughter's school dress of a girl. After that, both of them come close to each other and start taking off Evan's clothes. But then Evan's wife's video call comes, so Genesis tells Evan to get intimate with Belle. But on not doing this, Genesis says that I will tell your wife on video call that you are having fun with us. So Evan gets ready to get intimate with Evan and starts to make sounds shamelessly while getting intimate with him. And Genesis is recording all this. Meanwhile, Genesis goes to the kitchen to eat something, and Evan gets intimate with Belle and opens the rope by applying all his strength and pushes Belle down from the bed. After which, he moves towards Genesis and tries to kill her. But then Genesis attacks Evan again, which makes Evan unconscious. After this, they tie up Evan again and start acting like a psycho in front of him. And they wear a headphone and make the music loud and start harassing him. Then, after a while, Louis comes to Evan's house and rings the doorbell, who is the assistant of Evan's wife, Karen. But when he comes inside, he does not get Evan, because these two girls have locked him in a room. And both the girls tell Louis that they are Evan's niece. But then, Louis hears a voice from a room. And as soon as he starts going there, both of them together steal his inhaler from Louis's pocket. After that, Louis goes to the room where he finds Evan, who was tied with a rope. Now Louis is scared to see Evan like this and is opening it to help her. But in the meantime, those two girls start breaking Karen's heart and Louis goes to stop them. But even Louis refuses to go there as they are very dangerous. But Louis still goes there to stop them and tries to stop them. But she doesn't listen and keeps breaking Karen's heart. And in the meantime, Louise is having trouble breathing because Louise has asthma. And as soon as he puts his hand in his pocket and tries to take out his inhaler is not found in his pocket because they had already taken out his inhaler. Now, the two girls start catching each other with Louise's inhaler, and Louise is trying to take inhaler from both of them. And in the meantime, Louise's head is hit by a stone by slipping her leg, and his head hits a rock, which leads to his death. And both the girls start laughing. Now, seeing all this, Evan understands that these two girls are completely psycho. After that, they cover up Louis's dead body with a paper, paint it on top of it, make it look like an idol, and put it in its place. And they message Louis's phone from Evan's phone so that later people think that Louis and Karen's affair was going on, and to take revenge, Evan killed Louis now. In the meantime, Evan tries to message his wife with his iPad, but he is caught in this too. And they both throw his iPad out and break it, after which they both break all the things in the house and destroy it, and then dig a hole in the garden of his house. And when Evan shouts for help, these two girls put him on gunpoint, which scares Evan and he gives up. Now the next day, those two girls tie Evan up and bury him in that pit. And just by keeping his head out, they both tell about themselves that we are both psychos and we enjoy doing this, and we were just playing games with you and we have done this to many, and our victims are only married men. After this, they both take out their mobile phones and show him the video in which Belle Evans' daughter was getting intimate with her by wearing a school dress. After that, she uploads that video on Evan's Facebook profile and writes on the title Happy Father's Day, so that people feel that Evan is getting intimate with her daughter and leaving the phone there. They both leave from there. After that, Evan tries to delete the video by taking out his hand, but by mistake, instead of deleting the video, it becomes like. Now, after a while, we see that Evan's wife and children come home, so they see the whole house scattered. But Karen doesn't understand anything, and she thinks that after their departure, Evan has had a lot of fun with his friends. And with this movie ends here.